Hope Station gleamed like a silver medallion against Jupiter's swirling storms, its quantum arrays collecting ethereal light from the gas giant's perpetual tempest. Dr. Elena Reyes stood at the main observation deck, watching her research team work through their latest breakthrough in quantum teleportation. The station had been humanity's best-kept secret for decades, not because they were developing weapons, but because they were reaching for something far more profound: instantaneous travel across infinite space. The warning came too late. The Zeraxian warships emerged from hyperspace without warning, their crystalline hulls refracting Jupiter's light into deadly prismatic patterns. They were massive vessels, each one nearly the size of Hope Station itself. Dr. Reyes's first thought wasn't for the groundbreaking research that might be lost, but for the 42 young scientists in the quantum lab below, including her son Marcus, who had just celebrated his 17th birthday. This is a violation of the Galactic Peace Accord. Dr. Kai Wong, her second in command, shouted over the facility's blaring alarms. They can't attack a civilian research installation. But the Zeraxians weren't interested in diplomatic niceties. Their energy weapons carved through the station's outer shields like they were spider webs. The station's AI began evacuating personnel, but the quantum lab was the furthest from the escape pods. "Marcus," Elena whispered into her comm unit. "Marcus, honey, you need to get out of there now." "Mom, we're almost done stabilizing the quantum matrix," Marcus's voice came back steady despite the chaos. "If we leave now, the cascade could tear apart half of Jupiter's orbital system." That was Marcus, always thinking of others first, just like his father had before the accident that took him 5 years ago. Elena felt her heart constrict. "The containment can wait. Your life can't." The facility shuddered as another blast hit home. Through the reinforced windows, Elena watched escape pods launching, small bright dots against the darkness of space. Too few. Far too few. "Zeraxian Command, this is Dr. Elena Reyes of Hope Station," she broadcast on all frequencies. "We are a civilian installation conducting basic scientific research. There are children aboard this station. Please cease fire immediately." The response came in the form of more weapons fire. The Zeraxians had long viewed humanity's rapid technological advancement with suspicion. Despite all attempts at transparency, despite sharing medical breakthroughs and terraforming technologies freely with the galactic community, humanity had never managed to fully earn their trust. "Mom, the quantum matrix is at 93% stability," Marcus's voice crackled through increasing interference. "Just 3 more minutes." The facility's structure groaned. Warning lights flashed across every console. Hull breach on level 3. Life support failing on level 4. Reactor containment at 40% and falling. Elena started running toward the quantum lab even as Kai tried to stop her. "Elena, it's too late. The whole section is going to decompress." She shook him off. "My son is down there." The next blast took out the facility's primary power core. Emergency lights kicked in, bathing everything in blood-red illumination. Elena made it halfway to the quantum lab before the hull finally gave way. The last thing she heard over the comm was Marcus's voice, "Matrix stabilized, Mom. We did it. We saved everyone. I love." The signal cut off. 12 hours later, Elena stood before the Galactic Council, her hands shaking as she read out the casualty numbers. 31 dead, including. She steadied herself. Including every member of the quantum research team. Including my son. The Zeraxian representative, High Commander Vex Thor, showed no remorse. "We had credible intelligence that the facility was developing quantum-based weapons. The Empire acted to preserve galactic security. They were children," Elena's voice cracked. "Scientists. Researchers. They died containing a quantum cascade that could have destroyed half of Jupiter's orbital system. They died protecting everyone, including you. The council chambers erupted in murmurs, but the High Chancellor raised a hand for silence. While the loss of life is regrettable, the Xeraxian Empire acted within its rights as guarantors of galactic security. This council finds no cause for censure or restitution. Elena stood very still, looking at each council member in turn. Some couldn't meet her eyes. Others stared back defiantly. The Andromean representative actually smiled. "You're so certain you understand humanity," she said finally, her voice eerily calm. "You think you know what we're capable of. You think you know our limits." She took a deep breath. "You're about to learn how wrong you are." In the depths of Earth's quantum research facilities, Project Prometheus was about to be unveiled. The Xeraxians had feared humanity's potential for destruction. They were about to discover something far more terrifying: humanity's capacity for justice. In the 3 days following the Hope Station massacre, the galaxy held its breath. The expected human retaliation never came. No military strikes, no diplomatic outbursts, not even a formal protest. The Xeraxian Empire celebrated what they saw as a successful operation, their propaganda networks spinning tales of their preemptive strike against a dangerous human weapons program. But in a secure facility beneath the Himalayas, Dr. Elena Reyes stood before the United Earth Council, her quantum-enhanced hologram simultaneously present in every major human settlement across the solar system. The room was dark, lit only by the soft blue glow of quantum interfaces and the harsh truth displayed on the main screen, footage from Hope Station's final moments. Project Prometheus was never about weapons. Elena's voice carried the weight of lost futures. "We were developing quantum tunneling technology for peaceful exploration, for connecting distant worlds, for understanding the very fabric of reality itself." She gestured, and the display showed Marcus's final calculations, equations that had saved countless lives even as his own slipped away. Admiral Chen, the head of Earth's defense forces, leaned forward. "Dr. Reyes, the Council has reviewed your proposal. Are you certain this is the path you want to take?" Elena's eyes never left the display showing her son's last message. The Xeraxians chose violence because they feared what they didn't understand. They assumed that because we could build weapons, we would. They never bothered to ask why we didn't. The quantum interfaces around the room pulsed as data streamed in from human outposts across known space. Every colony, every research station, every ship had gone silent in the past hour. To the galaxy, it appeared that humanity was retreating, cowering in the face of Xeraxian might. They couldn't have been more wrong. In his command center on the Xeraxian capital world, High Commander Vexthor reviewed the latest intelligence reports with satisfaction. "See how they hide," he told his assembled officers. "One demonstration of our power, and humanity scrambles back to its cradle world like wounded prey." Fleet Admiral Zarkas, his most experienced commander, wasn't so sure. "Sir, something about this feels wrong. Our long-range sensors can't detect any human ships anymore. Not a single one. Their primitive stealth technology is no match for our sensors." Vexthor dismissed the concern with a wave of his crystalline hand. Then the holographic display they were studying flickered and died. Then the room's lights followed. Then, in a cascading wave that spread across the capital city, every piece of Xeraxian military technology simply stopped. In high orbit, the pride of the Xeraxian fleet hung motionless, their quantum drives silent for the first time in centuries. Emergency power kept life support running, but nothing else responded. It was as if some vast hand had reached out and switched off civilization itself. The silence lasted exactly 1 hour. When systems finally came back online, a single message waited in every computer, every communication device, every display screen across the Empire: "Now you have our attention." In the Himalayan facility, Elena watched the Xeraxian military infrastructure go dark. Project Prometheus wasn't just about quantum tunneling, she explained to the Council. Marcus's final calculations proved something fundamental about the nature of reality itself. Every particle in the universe exists in multiple states simultaneously. We didn't just master quantum tunneling, we learned to control which state manifests in our reality. The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't just developed better technology, they had fundamentally altered their relationship with physical reality itself. The Xyraxians' mighty warship still existed, still functioned, but they now occupied a quantum state that couldn't interact with the normal universe. This is their only warning, Elena continued, her voice carrying the same steady calm that Marcus had shown in his final moments. We could have used this power to destroy them completely, to erase them from every possible timeline. Instead, we're showing them the mercy they denied our children. Across the galaxy, other species watched in stunned silence as the mighty Xyraxian Empire found itself effectively neutered. Their military capabilities hadn't been destroyed, they had simply been shifted slightly out of phase with normal spacetime, rendering them harmless without harming a single civilian. In the Galactic Council chambers, the High Chancellor received reports from across known space. Human ships had begun reappearing, but they were different now. They phased in and out of reality at will, untouchable, unstoppable, but making no aggressive moves. They simply watched, their presence a reminder of humanity's new role in the galactic order. You thought we were building weapons, Elena's message played across every Xyraxian screen. You thought we were a threat to galactic peace. You never understood that we were trying to move beyond the need for weapons altogether. You killed our children because you couldn't imagine that someone might advance without wanting to dominate. Now you'll learn the price of that failure of imagination. The Galactic Council's emergency session stretched into its third day as species that had lived under Xyraxian influence for generations struggled to comprehend the new reality. The Xyraxian Empire's military hadn't been destroyed, it had simply been rendered irrelevant. Their ships still flew, their weapons still fired, but they existed in a quantum state that couldn't affect the normal universe. Dr. Elena Reyes stood in Earth's Quantum Command Center, watching as data streams showed the ripple effects of Project Prometheus across known space. Around her, holographic displays showed the status of every human settlement, now existing in a state of quantum flux that made them virtually untouchable. The Andromean Confederation is requesting an explanation of our quantum phase technology, reported Dr. Kai Wong, his avatar appearing beside her through quantum entanglement. Like many of Earth's key personnel, he was physically light years away but present through technology that the rest of the galaxy had dismissed as theoretical. Send them Marcus's paper on quantum state manipulation, Elena replied, her fingers tracing the equations that still scrolled across her personal display. The one he was working on before. She paused, steadying herself. Before Hope Station. Let them understand exactly what their silence cost us. The paper was more than just a scientific treatise. It was a 17-year-old's vision of how quantum mechanics could reshape their understanding of reality itself. Marcus had seen what the greatest minds in the galaxy had missed, that the universe wasn't just stranger than they imagined, it was stranger than they could imagine. In his quantum-shifted flagship, High Commander Vexthor watched helplessly as his mighty empire effectively ceased to exist. Not through violence or conquest, but through a fundamental shift in the nature of power itself. Human ships phased in and out of existence around his fleet, appearing just long enough to demonstrate their complete immunity to Xyraxian weapons before vanishing again. Impossible, he whispered, watching the battle feeds. Their ships can't, they shouldn't be able. But we are, Elena's voice filled his command center as her image appeared, projected through means his sensors couldn't detect. Would you like to understand how? Around him, his officers drew weapons, a futile gesture against a hologram that existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously. Fear made people do strange things. You've made your point, human, Vexthor said, trying to maintain his dignity. Your technology exceeds ours. No, Elena's image walked toward him, passing through solid objects as if they were mist. You still don't understand. This isn't about superior technology. This is about the fundamental nature of reality itself. She gestured, and the air around them shifted. Suddenly they weren't in his command center anymore but floating in space, no, not space, somewhere between spaces. Reality itself seemed to ripple around them like water. Your scientists theorized about quantum superposition, Elena explained as Vexthor and his officers gaped at the impossible view. About parallel dimensions and the malleable nature of reality. But you never pursued it because you couldn't weaponize it. You were so focused on finding better ways to destroy that you missed the bigger picture. Through the quantum haze, Vexthor could see multiple versions of reality overlaid on each other. In one, his fleet was triumphant. In another, it never existed at all. The sheer scope of it threatened to overwhelm his sanity. This is what my son helped us discover, Elena continued, her voice tight with controlled emotion. The ability to exist in multiple states simultaneously, to step between moments of time like you step between rooms. We could have used it to become unstoppable warriors. Instead, we used it to explore, to learn, to grow. Across the galaxy, other species watched in stunned fascination as humanity revealed just how far they had advanced while hiding in plain sight. The quantum phase technology didn't just affect their ships and stations, it had been applied to their entire civilization. Human colonies now existed in a state of quantum uncertainty, visible only when they chose to be. In the Himalayan facility, Elena activated a quantum interface that the Zyraxians didn't even know existed. Begin Phase 3, she ordered. Show them what happens when you push too far. Throughout Earth's sphere of influence, quantum ripples began to spread. It wasn't an attack, it was an awakening. The very fabric of spacetime began to shift and change, not through violence but through understanding. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon had never been their technology. It had been their imagination. The revolution began not with a bang, but with a whisper. Across Zyraxian space, civilian populations watched in awe as their mighty warships hung suspended in quantum flux, neither fully present nor entirely absent. But more remarkable than this display of power was what humanity didn't do with it. No cities were destroyed. No civilian infrastructure was damaged. No lives were lost. Instead, humanity demonstrated something the galaxy had never seen before, absolute power wielded with absolute restraint. In the Quantum Command Center, Elena studied the latest reports from across Zyraxian space. Their civilian government is requesting direct communication, Dr. Kai Wong reported, his quantum projected form shifting slightly as he accessed multiple data streams simultaneously. They're offering to place their military leadership under arrest. Elena's hands paused over the quantum interface. For a moment, she saw Marcus's face reflected in the dark screen, remembered his last words about saving everyone. Accept the communication, she said softly. Let's see if they're ready to learn. The image that appeared before them was not High Commander Vexthor or any of his military leaders, but rather Dr. Selana, the head of the Zyraxian Science Academy. Her crystalline form trembled slightly, but her voice was steady. Dr. Reyes, she began, on behalf of the Zyraxian people, I come seeking not just peace, but understanding. What you have shown us, it changes everything we thought we knew about the universe. Elena's expression remained carefully neutral. And yet when we offered to share our knowledge freely, your military chose to attack children engaged in peaceful research. Yes, Selana's voice cracked with genuine emotion, something rare for her species. And that shame will forever mark our history. But please, help us learn from this mistake. Show us how to see the universe as your son did. In the Quantum Command Center, displays showed the ripple effects of this conversation spreading across the galaxy. Species that had lived under Zyraxian oppression for generations watched in amazement as the mighty empire's military power remained neutralized, not through destruction but through a fundamental shift in the nature of reality itself. Your son's final equations, Selena continued, bringing up a display of Marcus's work, they don't just describe quantum state manipulation. They suggest something far more profound about the interconnected nature of all things. Your people didn't just master technology, you discovered a fundamental truth about the universe itself. Elena walked through the quantum projection, her form shifting between states as she moved. The effect was both beautiful and terrifying, a demonstration of humanity's new relationship with reality itself. What would you do with this knowledge? She asked. If we shared it, how can we trust you won't try to weaponize it, as you assumed we had? Because you've shown us a better way, Selena replied. Around her, images appeared showing Xeraxian civilian scientists already beginning to grasp the implications of what they'd witnessed. Your restraint, your mercy, they prove that true power lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the wisdom to choose not to. In orbit above Earth, the quantum-shifted human fleet maintained its vigilance, but something had changed. The ships were no longer just defensive positions, they had become bridges between states of reality, physical manifestations of humanity's new role in the galaxy. We're detecting quantum resonance patterns from multiple species, Kai reported, his avatar displaying streams of data. They're not just accepting our demonstration, they're beginning to understand it. The Andromeans, the Proxians, even the Centaurian Collective, they're all requesting access to Marcus's research papers. Elena watched as her son's final gift to the universe began to spread, not as a weapon but as a key to unlocking new understanding. The quantum interfaces around her showed countless civilizations beginning to grasp what humanity had discovered, that the universe was not a battlefield to be conquered, but a mystery to be explored together. Send them everything, she ordered, her voice firm but gentle. All of Marcus's work, all of our research. Show them what we were really building at Hope Station. She paused, looking at the quantum-shifted stars visible through the command center's walls. Show them what my son died protecting, not a weapon, but a doorway to understanding itself. The revolution continued in silence, as species across the galaxy began to realize that humanity hadn't just changed the balance of power, they had changed the very nature of power itself. The question was no longer who had the strongest weapons or the largest fleet, but who had the wisdom to use knowledge for the benefit of all. 1 year after the Hope Station incident, the Galactic Council chamber had transformed. Where once representatives sat in rigid hierarchies based on military might, now they gathered in a quantum-shifted space that existed in multiple states simultaneously, a physical reminder of the new understanding that had swept through civilization. Dr. Elena Reyes stood at the center of the chamber, her form shifting between quantum states as she presented the final results of Project Prometheus's public release. Behind her, a holographic display showed thousands of worlds beginning to master the principles that Marcus had uncovered in his final moments. In the past year, she began, her voice carrying across multiple planes of reality simultaneously, over 300 species have successfully implemented basic quantum state manipulation. Not for weapons, not for power, but for understanding. She gestured, and the display showed new forms of transportation, communication, and exploration spreading across the galaxy. The Xeraxian representative, Dr. Selena, rose to speak. The former empire's military remained in quantum flux, but their civilian sciences had flourished. What we once feared as a weapon has become our greatest teacher, she said. Your son's equations didn't just change our understanding of physics, they changed our understanding of ourselves. Through the quantum-shifted walls of the chamber, they could see the reality of these changes. Ships from dozens of species phased between states of existence, no longer bound by traditional space-time. But more importantly, they could see the new networks of cooperation and shared discovery spreading across the galaxy like starlight. We've detected the first natural quantum tunneling events in the Andromeda galaxy, reported Dr. Kai Wong, his avatar displaying the data streams. Just as Marcus predicted in his final paper, the universe itself is beginning to respond to our new understanding of it. Elena touched the quantum interface that still displayed her son's final equations. Marcus wrote that the universe isn't just stranger than we imagine, it's stranger than we can imagine unless we imagine together. He believed that the true power of quantum mechanics wasn't in shifting between states of reality, but in understanding how all states, all possibilities, all people are fundamentally connected. The High Chancellor, their crystalline form refracting quantum light in endless patterns, spoke next. The attack on Hope Station will forever mark a turning point in our history, not because of the technology it revealed, but because of the choice humanity made in response to it. You had the power to destroy, but you chose to teach instead. Around the chamber, representatives from formerly warring species sat together, their quantum interfaces linked in shared exploration of the mysteries Marcus had helped uncover. The Proxians and Centaurians, ancient enemies, now collaborated on quantum tunneling research. The Andromean Confederation had transformed its warships into exploration vessels that phased between realities. There are still those who fear this change, Elena acknowledged, watching the data streams that showed pockets of resistance across the galaxy. Fear is easy. Understanding is hard. But my son believed that the universe reveals its secrets not to those who demand them, but to those who approach with curiosity and compassion. In orbit above Earth, Hope Station 2 neared completion. Unlike its predecessor, this facility wasn't hidden, it was a beacon, visible across multiple quantum states, its doors open to students and researchers from every species. Its central chamber would house a memorial not just to those lost in the attack, but to the new understanding born from their sacrifice. The choice before us now, Elena continued, is not what to do with this power, but what to become because of it. My son died protecting everyone, not just his friends, not just humanity, but every being in this galaxy. He understood what we're only now beginning to grasp, that we're all connected, all part of the same cosmic dance of possibility. The quantum interfaces around the chamber pulsed with new data as another breakthrough was shared across species barriers. This was Marcus's true legacy, not the equations themselves, but the spirit of cooperation and shared discovery they had inspired. 1 year ago, I stood in this chamber promising to show the galaxy what humanity was truly capable of, Elena said, her voice soft but carrying infinite weight. Today, we all stand together, showing each other what we're capable of becoming. As if in response, the quantum-shifted reality around them shimmered with new possibility. The universe, it seemed, had more secrets to share, not with any one species, but with all who were ready to learn together. In the depths of space, at the edge of known reality, new doorways were opening. Humanity's response to an act of fear had unlocked something far greater than vengeance or power, it had unlocked the next chapter in the story of consciousness itself. And this time, they would write it together.